Hello. So going around right now is the mid-year book tag, which is probably a good one to go through because I've read a lot this year. I think I'm at 67 books so far for the year, and definitely like to look back on some things. So this gives me a chance to kind of talk about what I've read this year, what I've liked, and so on, what my plans are for the rest of the year. I tried to do, I've heard a few people kind of saying that they didn't want to repeat things throughout the list, and so I definitely, I'm going to try to do that as well. I got this from Genghis Khan, so I will tag him, and if you want to do this, you are tagged. I will tag some people maybe too. All right, so number one, the best book you've read so far in 2023. There's a lot of books I've liked this year, and sometimes I think maybe I'm just easy to please, but I've had like a lot of really good reads this year. But ones that didn't show up elsewhere in this list, I put either Look Closer by David Ellis or We Spread by Ian Reid. And I think I talked about both of these in my wrap up last month. So if not, I talked about We Spread earlier. Number two is the best sequel you've read in 2023 so far, and I have read none. I looked at my list, and all of my books are standalones, or, I don't even think there's even, like, first in a series. They're all just standalones. So, I have nothing to say on that one. Number three, the new release you haven't read yet, but want to. So I have Only Survivors by Megan Miranda. There's a lot I would like to get to, and there's a lot coming in the next few months. But Megan Miranda is kind of a go-to author for me. So, and I haven't read that one yet, and I did get it. But number four, most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I actually have several, but I put in Dark Corners, which is actually going to be a sequel. So I could have, if I had read that so far. And I do have the arc for it. I just haven't gotten to it yet because the publication date isn't until, I believe, August. And that's Megan Golden, and that's the second book. The first one was The Night Swim, and I read that earlier this year, and I loved it. So I'm really excited to read this. And probably what would have been my number one was Looking Glass Sound, but I've already been able to read it. That's Catriona Ward, and when that comes out, I have a review set up to go out. Loved that too. I was able to get NARC on it, and there's a bunch of others coming out this year. There's a new Michelle Campbell. There's Riley Sager has a new one. Ruth Ware, Alice Feeney. I think it's Gillian McAllister. I always confuse Gillian McMillan and Gillian McAllister. I mean, they're both like suspense, but they're not really similar. But anyway, so I have a bunch of stuff. And a lot of new authors, debuts. I have a bunch of things to get through that are coming up this year that I'm excited for. So, biggest disappointment, I would say probably The Murder Game, just because there wasn't a game, and I thought it would be like a murder game. And I was like, oh, I love games, board games, video games, and I like murder. And there wasn't a murder game. So that was disappointing because it didn't really hold up to the title. Favorite new author, and it's debut or new to you. And because they were new to me, I have T. Kingfisher, because I loved Nettle and Bone. Thought it was really fun. Biggest surprise, I would say Blood Sugar by Sasha Rothschild. Mostly because, and this is me just judging the book by its cover, I think the cover is a little cheesy. I mean, it makes sense, but I thought it was maybe like a little, I don't know, I can't even explain what I would think, but I think it's way better than I thought the cover kind of provided what I thought it was going to be. So this was a surprise. I really loved this book, and it was actually really incredibly well written, and there was just like a lot of intriguing pieces to it, and I don't know if the cover necessarily sold it as effectively. Book that made you happy. I just read Old Boys, and that comes out this week, and this book was hilarious. It just made me so happy. Newest fictional crush. I don't have any. I don't have book crushes, really. I don't have human crushes. I don't really get crushes. I just sort of, yeah. I don't think I, like people enough. I don't know. It's not really a crush, but I really loved Bone Dog in Nettle and Bone, but we're not talking about the same book again. So, newest favorite character, I'd probably say Harriet in The Change. She's hilarious, but also, like, badass and feminist, so really liked her. Book that made you cry, A Little Life, and I think anyone who's read this is not surprised at all that it made me, like, not only made me cry, like, there are points where I was, like, throwing it across the room, and, like, well, I wouldn't literally because I had it on my Kindle, but there was one point where I literally just, like, I put my phone down, and I was like, F no. I was so mad. But, yeah, this book made me cry a lot. Most beautiful book you bought this year. And so I tend to buy a lot of, like, beat-up old copies of things. And so I'm going to go with, and it was or a gift, but I haven't gotten any gifts so far this year of books. So I'm going to go, well, actually, I think my husband got me some books, but they're not necessarily beautiful. And I think they're talking about cover, like physically beautiful. I don't think they're talking about, like, beautiful writing or storytelling. So I'm going to cheat a little bit, and I'm going to go with a library book that I got, which was The Lost Apothecary, because, I mean, the cover is just gorgeous on this book. And then books you need to read by the end of 2023. I mean, if you want to take a look at my Goodreads list, I mean, feel free to scroll down to add me on Goodreads. And you'll see I have many books I need to read. I have a lot of ARCs. I have books from the library, not to mention the massive piles in my own house, or all the stuff that I have on my Kindle that I've just, either through Kindle Unlimited that I've borrowed, or, you know, just the stuff that I've been filling my Kindle with for years and just haven't gotten to. So there are many. My goal, obviously, my reading goal this year for Goodreads was 100. And I'm at 67, so I definitely am hoping to surpass that by a lot. Ideally, I could get to, like, 200, but I don't know. But there's a lot of books I need to read, so I just picked a couple. So I have The Secret History, because I just really want to get to it. Dark Academia is kind of, I love that, like, the whole thing, and plus, like, I just feel like I really need to get to this. This is just sort of, like, foundational book. And then I picked The Priory of the Orange Tree because I got it from the library on, like, a special, like, short-term loan. Like, they have this thing where, like, well, on the Kindle, or, well, like, ebooks that, you know, skip the line, essentially. So generally it's because somebody doesn't have time to get to it right now. And so this has been sitting on my hold list, and I have a week to read it. And it's like 800 and something pages, so I'm going to try to move on to that fairly soon. So hopefully I can read The Priory of the Orange Tree, because it's supposedly feminist Game of Thrones, which, I mean, Game of Thrones is already feminist, but I'm willing to try it, even though I don't know. Everything's always Game of Thrones, and it's not Game of Thrones at all, but we'll see. Yeah, so that's my mid-year. Definitely, if you're a reader or you're following us and you have a Goodreads, feel free to add me. I mean, I'd be happy to. I love looking at what other people are reading, seeing, you know, reviews. I don't write a ton of reviews, but just kind of fun to see what people are up to and what they're reading. And, you know, sometimes it's hard to keep up with all of the different videos and, you know, to keep track of all the things I want to read. And so it's nice because then I can, like, see something and be like, oh yeah, that's right, I want to read that, and then add it right away. So, yeah. And I will have, hopefully at the end of the year, I'll have a lot more to talk about. But yeah, it's been a really good reading year. And, again, I don't know if it's just because I'm a very easy to please kind of reader, and I tend to like most books I read, or if it's just, I've just been picking good ones. But yeah, I'm really excited about, how many things I've really enjoyed this year. So thanks for watching, and, you know, feel free to do the whole like, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I will see you soon with some more either book stuff or just other nonsense, or Search Uncle. All right, bye.